My dad was physically abusing me, and the state took me away. I got with the guy that ended up being a piece of shit.
Since I was a little kid, I've seen so much violence and so much drugs.
I had watched my boyfriend be shot in the head, and I was depressed.
My drug of choice is marijuana laced with cocaine.
We're not over there. We're not over there.
Miami, a city sold to the world as sunlight, palm trees, and luxury. But if you walk 2 blocks away from the postcard, you'll find a different Miami. A Miami that doesn't show up in travel videos. Here are the first voices you hear when you stop listening to the marketing. I grew up around violence. The state took me when I was a kid. I lost people I loved, and something in me never came back. I tried to numb the memories, and one day I woke up outside, and I didn't know how I got here. Welcome to Homeless US. Before we begin, a quick note. This video is made to inform, not to exploit. We do not show illegal activity. We do not describe anything in a way that teaches harm. We do not use dehumanizing language. We focus on people and on the system that shapes what happens to them. If you're here for truth, stay to the end. Because Miami's real shock is not what you see, it's what you realize. The Miami you don't see.
Yeah.
Miami-Dade County welcomed over 28 million visitors in a single year. That's the kind of number that makes a city feel unstoppable. Hotels, music, neon, ocean. But while millions come to enjoy Miami, others are trying to survive it. And Miami has a detail that changes everything. In many cities, winter is the most dangerous season for someone without shelter. In Miami, danger doesn't wait for winter. In Miami, the threat can be heat, humidity, storms, and nights so uncomfortable that real sleep becomes rare. When your life is outdoors, sleep is not a hobby, it's a lifeline. And in Miami, that lifeline gets interrupted again and again by weather, fear, noise, and constant movement. People imagine homelessness as one single moment, a breakup, a job loss, a decision. But what you see on the sidewalk is usually the end of a long chain. And once you're outside, the city becomes a maze. Where do you wash your hands? Where do you charge your phone? Where do you keep your ID safe? Where do you go if you feel sick? Where do you rest without being harmed? Most housed people never answer those questions. In Miami, thousands of people have to answer them every day. Two, the numbers that shock, and the truth they can't hold. Miami-Dade County runs a point-in-time count each year. It's not perfect, but it's one of the best snapshots we have. In January 2025, the count reported 3,615 people experiencing homelessness countywide. That includes people in shelters and people living unsheltered. The unsheltered number people outside was 858. On paper, that unsheltered number was lower than the year before. And here's where the story gets complicated. Because a drop in one number doesn't always mean the crisis disappears. Sometimes it means the crisis moves. It moves out of sight. It moves into hidden corners. It moves under expressways, behind warehouses, into areas where fewer people complain and fewer services reach. So if you're thinking, well, the count went down, so it's getting better, Miami will challenge that assumption. Because this isn't just about a number. It's about what happens when a human being runs out of options. A city can reduce unsheltered homelessness and still have people living in desperate conditions. A city can build programs and still have waiting lists. A city can push people away from tourist corridors and still have people sleeping outside. And that leads to the question Miami doesn't want visitors asking. How can a place this wealthy still leave people without a safe place to sleep? 3. Heat, Miami's quiet threat. Miami-Dade treats extreme heat seriously. It has an official heat season, and it runs for months. The county has expanded cooling options, dozens of cooling sites across public facilities. On paper, that sounds like protection. But here's what that looks like for someone living outside. You're exhausted. Your clothes are damp from sweat. Your throat hurts from dehydration. Your phone is low battery. Your stomach is empty. A cooling center exists somewhere. But can you get there? Do you have bus fare? Can you carry everything you own across town? Will your belongings be stolen if you set them down? Will you be turned away if you arrive late? Will you feel safe inside a crowded room when you've been traumatized for years? Heat doesn't just make you uncomfortable. Heat can make you confused, irritable, weak, sick. Heat makes every small problem bigger. A blister becomes an infected wound. A headache becomes a medical emergency. A missed meal becomes dizziness. A panic attack becomes a collapse. And for many people outdoors, medical care is not a clinic visit. It's the emergency room after it's already too late. Miami's sunshine is beautiful until you have no shade, no water, and nowhere to recover. For the real beginning of homelessness, a key that disappears. Meet Elena, not her real name. Elena worked, not a glamorous job, but steady. Then her rent went up. Then her car needed repairs. Then a family emergency hit. Then she missed work. Then her paycheck shrank. And once you fall behind in a high-rent city, it can feel like running uphill with weights tied to your ankles. Elena told us something that sounds small, but it's huge. The first thing I lost wasn't my home. It was my stability, because stability is what keeps you from spiraling. A stable address means you can receive mail. A stable place means you can sleep. Sleep means you can think. Thinking means you can plan. Planning means you can recover. When you lose your address, you don't just lose a roof. You lose your calendar. You lose your routine. You lose your ability to keep appointments. You lose your ability to look presentable for work. You lose your ability to store medication. You lose your ability to keep documents safe. And the system is built around documents. To get a job, you need an ID. To replace an ID, you often need documents you may not have anymore. To apply for services, you need a phone and follow-up contact. To keep a phone, you need charging and a safe pocket. To keep a safe pocket, you need a safe place. When people say, why don't they just get help? This is why that question is bigger than it sounds. Because help is not one door. Help is a hallway full of doors. And many people outside are trying to walk that hallway while they're sick, exhausted, and scared. 5. Trauma, the part people don't want to hear. Now meet Jordan. Not a real name. Jordan's story doesn't begin with homelessness. It begins with childhood. Jordan grew up surrounded by chaos, a home where safety wasn't guaranteed, a childhood shaped by loss and violence. Jordan told us, quietly, people think you get over it, but some things don't leave. Trauma doesn't always look like crying. Sometimes it looks like anger. Sometimes it looks like numbness. Sometimes it looks like never trusting anyone again. Trauma changes the body. It changes sleep. It changes memory. It changes how the brain reacts to stress. And if you've been traumatized, the street is not neutral. The street triggers everything. Loud voices, footsteps behind you, crowds, sudden movement, being stared at, being yelled at, being treated like you're not human. That's why some people refuse shelters, even when a bed is available. Because a bed in a crowded room can feel like danger to a nervous system trained by fear. This is not an excuse for harm. It's an explanation of behavior people misunderstand. And Miami is full of people whose lives were shaped by trauma, long before they ever touched a sidewalk. 6. Substance use and mental health, the cycle nobody wants to name. Now we have to talk about the part that gets the most attention online. Substance use, mental health, and the way they intertwine with homelessness. We will talk about it carefully. Some people fall into substance use before they lose housing. Some people turn to it after they lose housing, trying to numb hunger, fear, insomnia, and pain. Some people live with mental illness that went untreated for years, until the street became the final collapse. This is the uncomfortable truth. When you are outdoors, your brain is under constant threat. Your body stays in fight or flight. Your stress never shuts off. And when stress never shuts off, people seek relief in whatever form they can access. That's how a cycle begins. And in recent years, The street drug supply in many American cities has become far more dangerous because of potent, synthetic opioids and unpredictable mixtures. That unpredictability creates emergencies, and emergencies create fear. Fear spreads across the entire neighborhood, to residents, business owners, tourists, and the people outdoors themselves. Everyone becomes tense. Everyone becomes reactive. And then the public conversation gets toxic. People stop seeing a person. They only see the crisis. But the crisis is not a personality trait. It is a medical and social emergency happening in public. And here's the shock. If your brain is wired by trauma and your body is depleted by heat, hunger, and sleep deprivation, just stop is not a plan. Recovery requires support. It requires treatment that is reachable. It requires mental health care that is not a luxury. It requires a system that can catch people when they slip without throwing them away. 7. When need grows faster than solutions. Miami-Dade has built programs. It has outreach. It has shelters. It has supportive housing efforts. And still, people fall through. Because in a high-cost city, the pipeline into homelessness can be faster than the pipeline out. Think about how quickly life can break. A rent increase, a car repair, a medical bill, a job cut, a family crisis. Now think about how long it can take to rebuild. Replacing documents, scheduling intake, waiting for openings, applying for benefits, getting treatment, stabilizing mental health, finding employment, finding housing that is actually affordable. One side moves in days, the other side moves in months. That time gap is where people get trapped. And when shelters close, or capacity drops, or neighborhoods push people out without offering a stable alternative, the crisis doesn't vanish. It relocates. And relocation creates a dangerous illusion. Tourists think it's better. Officials feel the pressure drop. Neighborhoods get temporary relief. But the human being is still outside, just farther away, less visible, more isolated, more likely to spiral. 8. Clean streets versus real solutions. There's a debate in many cities. Some residents want immediate order. They want sidewalks cleared. They want parks usable again. They want safety back. That desire is real, and it matters. But here's the hard truth. If you remove a person's tent, but you don't give them a door, you didn't solve homelessness. You just moved it. If you push people away from one neighborhood, they land in another. If you make survival harder, desperation grows. If you treat a health crisis like a moral failure, people avoid help. Real solutions have to stack. Outreach that builds trust. Health care that meets people where they are. Treatment that is accessible. Mental health care that is consistent. And housing that is actually affordable. Because housing is not a prize you win after you become perfect. Housing is the foundation that makes stability possible. 9. What hope actually looks like. Hope in Miami does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like an outreach worker remembering a name. Sometimes it looks like clean water and a safe place to sit down. Sometimes it looks like someone getting an ID replaced. Sometimes it looks like a clinic visit that doesn't turn into judgment. Sometimes it looks like a cooling center that stays open when the day is brutal. Sometimes it looks like one person saying yes to help one day later than you wanted, but still yes. The internet loves before and after. Real life is one step, then another. The first win might be sleep, real sleep, in the same place for a week. And when a person finally sleeps, the brain gets quieter. They can think again. They can plan again. They can feel human again. That's why the most powerful thing we can build is not another speech. It's access. Access to safety. Access to care. Access to housing. Because the opposite of homelessness is not just a roof. The opposite of homelessness is stability. 10. The ending that should change how you see Miami. Miami is not only beaches. Miami is also the people who clean hotel rooms, cook restaurant meals, load trucks, care for seniors, and work night shifts. And if the cost of living climbs high enough, more people will slip. That is the warning hidden inside this story. Homelessness is not a type of person. It is something that can happen to a person. A job loss, a medical bill, a rent increase, a family emergency. One chain of events. And suddenly you're answering those 5 survival questions every morning. Where do I wash? Where do I charge my phone? Where do I keep my ID safe? Where do I rest? Where do I go when I'm sick? If you're watching this and thinking, that could never be me, Miami is here to challenge that belief. Because this city shows what happens when paradise becomes unaffordable. And if you're watching this while living through your own struggle, hear this clearly. You are not alone. You are not invisible. And you are not less than. If you're in the United States and you need support right now, you can call or text 988 for immediate crisis support. If you need treatment referrals, you can contact SAMHSAS National Helpline at 1-800-662-HELP. And if you want to help, start local. Support outreach organizations. Support shelters and housing programs. Support rental assistance and eviction prevention. Donate essentials like socks, hygiene supplies, and water, things that keep people alive long enough to reach the next step. And most importantly, don't let the comment section become another form of violence. Speak like you're talking about a human being, because you are. This is Homeless US. If this story opened your eyes, leave a respectful comment, press like, and subscribe, because we